Well, hi there, Planet LPers. Long time no video. I know, it's been a while since I've done one of these. In fact, I've only done one other video that's been up on YouTube. We've done a couple of video chats with artists, and when John Young was on the podcast, we certainly did more video. Keith Creighton's on the podcast now, and we were doing some video there for a while, but then it just sort of dropped off. Well, the topic of this one is going to be overlooked gems. Yes, I was going through my CD collection and I was pulling some discs and thinking, gosh, these are really solid albums. Some of them are classics in their own right, and I'll get to some of those in just a few. Actually, let's just get to them right now. So, the first selection is from the category of jazz. Now, for those of you who buy jazz records, most of you have this in your collection. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. This is definitely a classic, and it is a classic because it continues Miles Davis's exploration of modal jazz. I'm not any kind of music theoretician, so I don't really know how to explain modal jazz. I'll leave that to you to go on Wikipedia, and you can read the whole Wikipedia piece on it. And it gets a little deep in the weeds, so just leave it there. So this album comes out in 1959, this one, Miles Davis. Now flash forward 10 years later, 1969, he puts out this record, In a Silent Way. Also a kind of revolutionary record. Now I'm using this one as sort of an overlooked gem because most people have this record in their collection and think, oh, this is great stuff. But this is really kind of pushing it. It's very progressive in a way that pushes Davis away from that modal sound, and then he goes into this sort of fusion thing where it's almost a bit like funk and rock and a little bit of jazz, ambient. It's definitely something that, well, if you have an adventurous spirit, check that out. Second one, I'm not a big Styx fan, but man, I did like this record. This is The Mission, and this was an album that is a concept album about a mission to Mars. Now, if you are a Styx fan, you know that they sometimes do concept albums like Paradise Theater or Kilroy Was Here, with mixed results. This one is much more solid. Now, granted, this is an album without Dennis DeYoung. He had left the band decades ago at this point, but I really feel like the guys had some solid playing, some pretty good songwriting. It has a few flaws, which if they're going to go down the concept album route or rabbit hole, there were some narrative issues, and some of the lyrics were a little corny. But hey, that's what you usually get with Styx, right? You don't go there for the deep stuff, you go there for the cornball, and they do a good job on that. Next one is a big Pete Townshend fan. And here's one that you might want to add to your collection. I actually bought this used for I think it was like $2. So got the CD, popped it in, listened to it, and I thought, wow, this is a really solid live performance by Townshend. So get this, you actually get 2 discs. He does this really long extended version of Magic Bus. In 2015, New Order, I feel, made what was their comeback album, because it's this one, Music Complete. This is a really solid, and I've been using that term over and over, but I can't help but overuse it when it comes to some of these gems, because this record is sort of pound for pound great dance music. You could just put this on and let it play and just kind of get lost not only in the grooves, but then if you get into the lyrics, it gets kind of weird in the way that, New Order kind of does. Standout tracks for me are like Tutti Frutti. There's one with Iggy Pop called Stray Dog, in which he talks about, he's the dog, and it's from the dog's perspective. So Music Complete, New Order. Bangles. Now, if you're just a casual listener of the Bangles music, you're probably sort of, oh yeah, Walk Like an Egyptian, Manic Monday, Walk Like an Egyptian. Do yourself a favor and get a copy of this, Sweetheart of the Sun. Wow, talk about some pretty good songwriting, but excellent production on this record. This is one of the best sounding Bangles records, I think, of their catalog. superbly recorded. And some standout tracks on this one for me include Under a Cloud and I'll Never Be Through with You, where Susanna Hoffs sounds very world weary at one point in the song. So she does a little thing with her vocals where she gets a little hoarse, and I think it works to great effect. Lastly, I'd like to spotlight what I think is probably Tanya Donelly's best album. And this is the Swan Song series. Now, she was going to call it a career, but she was going to go out on a high note by collaborating with people that she really admires. She did just that. There is a collaboration with Tom Gorman, who's the guitarist in Belly. And Send Me Your Nightmare is such a good, well, it's such a great haunting song. But you could put, this is a 3-disc set, by the way, and I don't think there's a bad song on here. And it's kind of interesting to see that this was supposed to be the end of it, right? This is going to say, so long, world, I'm done recording music, and here's my swan song. And then flash forward to, I believe it was 2016, when Belly released Dove. And according to Tanya Donelly and the Belly Facebook page, they're going to be releasing a new Belly album soon. But seek this one out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And then really quick, I did this little experiment where I went to the record store and I bought CDs, some of which I had never heard. I had no idea what they were about. And I just bought them for the title or the cover art or just kind of looked interesting. And here's what I got. Kirk Hammett, best known as the guitarist for Metallica, put out this album last year called Portals. It's more of an EP. There aren't that many songs on there. I just started listening to it and it's kind of trippy. It's not like, full on metal or anything, but does a lot of dissonant guitar work. So that's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to digging into that a little bit more. I'm a big fan of Everything But the Girl, but didn't know that Tracy Thorn had a lot of solo records. This one came out in 2018 and it's called Record. Wish I'd come up with better titles. I did listen to this yesterday and I enjoyed it. I think I thought, I had on while I was cooking and I thought, I'm going to have to come back to this. So I listened to it in the car, just give it a more of an intense listen. But I don't think she really does poor songwriting. That's just not her style. All right, here's one I'm a little bit embarrassed about because I've never actually listened to this band, but it's the John Spencer Blues Explosion. So I saw this in the racks and I thought, well, what the heck? I don't know anything about this band. I still don't know anything about this band because one, I didn't read up on them, and two, I haven't listened to this yet. So that's on my to-listen pile, and this album is called Orange. Now, part of this challenge was to pick up titles also that I didn't have on CD. This is The Cure's Staring at the Sea. This came out in 1986. The CD version did, so it has a little extra song on there. I think at the time when, around 85, 86, this is when I started listening to The Cure. I wasn't a person that went back before that because I really didn't know the band. So I bought this because I thought, oh, it was greatest hits. And again, did not disappoint. So that's a good one. Getting back to the category of jazz, this is Wynton Marsalis's From the Plantation to the Penitentiary. I wasn't sure what to expect from this record. I didn't realize that we're going to have vocals on it, but yes, there are vocals on this, so it's not all instrumental. But the song that I did hear, boy, the production is pretty crisp. And that's, again, it's on my to-listen pile because I only heard one song yesterday. And then finally, I'm a little embarrassed about this one too. I thought I had this in my record collection because I've heard this album many times and I realized I heard this album because other people had it. And it's The Cult's Love. I never had it in my collection until now, but I feel like I have because I've heard the album many times. But now I have this deluxe version, which has some additional cuts, some demos and things like that. So it's a 2-disc set. But She Sells Sanctuary, huh? What a great song. And that's one of the first songs I learned on guitar just because I always thought it was kind of a cool song. And it is. And this is a cool album. So there we have it. You've got some gems, overlooked gems, and then you've got some new-ish releases, or not really new releases, but more like Well, these are albums I've never really heard before, or I don't really have in my collection in CD. So there we are. Okay, we've got new episodes coming up, usual podcast episodes, the audio only. And those are coming later this month. And I'm recording this in June 2023. So talk to you soon. Take care.